everyone. I hope you all had a really great summer. We're back, and I have an amazing guest here today to talk with you all a little bit about their experience and why a personal advisory board is really important to them. So, if folks are new to this YouTube channel, this is the Roundtable with Peadbo. My name is Kiera Chambers. I'm the VP of Client Success and Engagement. For folks who don't know what a personal advisory board is, which hint Peadbo stands for that. It is essentially a board of folks who help you improve and grow. And, we use this business practice. Some of the biggest businesses have their own advisory boards. And so we're taking that approach and putting it into your personal life, whether that's professional or in your development stage when your personal growth. So I'll let whoever wants to take the mic set next and introduce themselves, and then we'll go right into questions once they talk a little bit about like who they are, where they're coming from, and why they're here today.
Yana, you wanna go, or would you like me to go?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start us off. Hello, everyone. I'm Ayanna Williams, founder of Tech Wellness Society, and I'm actually a systems admin by trade by day. So, I'm a technologist that kind of turned my passion for wellness into what Tech Wellness Society is. And I'm glad to be here. So, thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me as well. My name is Natalya Jackson. I am a licensed esthetician, a business owner, as well as an MBA candidate at Morgan State University. As of next week, I will be a skincare founder, and ultimately, I'm passionate about helping people feel confident in their skin and also helping others grow personally and professionally.
Yes, yes,
Thanks
yes.
for the intros, y'all. So, okay, I'm so excited to have them two here, just talk about their experiences and like what brought them, like how they've gotten to where they are in their careers and even in their professional, excuse me, personal lives. So the first question I would like to, and whoever can go first, but the first question I have for you all is, can you share a time when you were navigating uncertainty or growth, like right now in current events, and how your mission came into focus, especially with the support from mentors, advisors, and your informal network?
I guess so it's layered, but I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. And so when I finished college, I was really uncertain about what I wanted to do post grad. And I really had to do a lot of soul searching and diving and figuring out, like, okay, Natalia, what is your purpose at the end of the day? I am very much a purpose filled individual. And so it took some time. So I'd say it took about a year for me to really figure out what it is that I wanted to do professionally that also aligned with my purpose. And so that's how I ended up becoming an esthetician. I had never even heard of an esthetician. I didn't even know how to spell esthetician, but I ended up going to a school in Addison, Texas, right outside of Dallas, ended up getting my trade in that and just kind of leveraged that over the years. I came up with my business, Ritzy Beauty, which is really the epitome of who I am, very luxury. I believe in having everyday luxury all throughout your life. And I think that my brand really focuses and centers on that as well as wellness. And so I started out doing lashes because that was just something that I was obsessed with. Lashes were not even a thing back then. In fact, when I was in college, being the hustler that I am, I needed money. And so I would have all the girls come to my dorm room. I would pop on cluster lashes for $20. They'd be in and out real quick. And so it's just something that I was always just grounded in. And I knew that it was just a natural gift that God had given me. And so through that, I had a lot of trials and tribulations as far as being a business owner, trying to navigate what do I do next. I didn't have a blueprint. That's the thing that people don't tell you about being an entrepreneur. There's no blueprint to how to do something. And so I decided in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, my best friend and I decided to uproot everything that we knew in Dallas and come over to the DMV area. We didn't even have a place to live, barely had a job, really wasn't making a lot of money. And so we were trying to shift through all of those uncertainties as well. But me being me, I wanted to take another leap of faith. And so I have found some salons in Alexandria, Virginia, opened up a shop. But then, because we're in the middle of the pandemic, and I personally believe that the first thing that women tend to do whenever they are trying to save money or cut down expenses is they cut out their beauty. And so I was
Ah.
faced with a lot of, I'm sorry, y'all. I have a puppy and he wants to play right now.
No, it's okay.
So he's messing with me. But I was faced with a lot of the remnants of people wanting to cut out their beauty expenses because we're in the heat of a pandemic, and so then that led me to try to find a job. So I had to lean and hone in on, okay, the fact that I have a degree. So ended up getting back into education. I'm working in education. I'm working at this Title I school in Washington, D.C. I'm drained. I'm also trying to run a business. So imagine my life. I literally am waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to work, leaving work, coming home, debriefing for like 2 seconds, going straight up to my shop,
Mm.
doing clients. And so ultimately it was just overwhelming. I was super overwhelmed and I knew that I had to make a pivot. So this led me to make a very difficult decision. And I actually had to shut my shop down a couple years ago. I ended up going and becoming home based rather than having a shop. And so that really, really made me lean on my mentors, especially my faith in God and my support
Mhm.
network. I think the biggest takeaway from that is that it just reminded me that my mission wasn't tied to a location. It was always about the service, the care, the empowerment that I gave my clientele. And most importantly, that season just taught me that true entrepreneurs, they don't give up, they adapt. And I feel like when you are rooted in your faith, then nothing can shape you or shift you. And now I have a successful business and we're still evolving. And that's what's leading me to drop my skincare line.
Oh, wow, okay. There was so much there that was, like,
I
so
know.
many gems. There was so many
Right.
gems. Yeah, I mean, I think some people, especially in entrepreneurship, like, having to close your business is, like, kind of like giving up on your baby, and
Mhm.
sometimes you have to come to terms with that, but that doesn't mean that's the end of, like, you being an entrepreneur. You could evolve from there and, like, just taking a hiatus for a moment and just trying to figure out when
Mhm.
to pivot and when to change. Like, when is something not working for you
Serving
and,
you.
like,
Right.
yeah, and serving you, right. So, yeah, I'm, like, excited to talk more about, like, your journey and, but I would like to, like, touch on some of, like, what Ayanna's, if you want me to, I can, repeat that question, but essentially, like, how did you navigate it and even pivot it in, times of difficulty, and when have you, like, leaned on your personal advisory board for that support?
Yeah, so wow, that was such a I'm still stuck on your answer, Natalia.
It was so
Oh,
good.
excuse me.
Yeah.
No, but, so for me, I'm born and raised in Prince George's County, Maryland, right? So, I think the quote unquote "bubble" that I live in and that I'm used to is being close to, like, government things that's going on in the DMV and, like, technology. So, I guess for me, my transition in my career as a technologist, my transition from being in the nonprofit space to now being in the government space, the public sector, Department of Defense right now. And it's like it's tough moving from like nonprofit in DC to I actually took my first contract and transferred over to Baghdad and I transferred to Kuwait during my time when I was learning and like leveling up in my tech career. So for me, that was like a really big transition. And what I learned from it was like the environment that I was in is really like intense and like high stakes,
Mhm.
if I can say that. Like it's very mission driven, mission based, and like just knowing how to speak to leadership and like the customer because at the end of the day we were contractors and the military was the customer. And
Mhm.
that was just crazy because when I was in nonprofit, like the lifestyle in nonprofit was so different to the structure that the military like is. So I'd say in that way. And then let me see. Hmm. Okay, so this is what I learned when I was overseas. Not only was I operating at a high level, because you just had to stand out in that way in technology, that kinda, like it led to burnout, and I had no idea that I was exhausted mentally, physically, and so my body literally started to scream out for help, and when I was overseas, I got sent home due to illness that I was not aware of, but when I finally got back to the States, I went to see a a rheumatologist and a hematologist, and then that's when I was diagnosed with lupus, and so I, like, really had to take it easy and really take care of my body and listen to the doctors because I didn't realize I was operating at a state where I was just trying to elevating my career, which is nothing wrong with that, but that's when I realized that the wellness, taking care of your body as a human being, like, you just can't operate at a level that's, exhausting to your body. So that's
Mm,
what led me to really tap into Tech Wellness Society because when I was overseas going through it and didn't know that I had lupus, I went inward and I meditated so much
mm,
and I stopped drinking liquor, like, I was drinking all the healthy things, and even with doing that, I didn't know that I was adopting new habits to take care of myself, basically, and I wanna be in a space now, or I am in a space now where I'm empowering other tech professionals to let them know that you are more than your job, even though like I love technology and I love innovating and I love being in technology is really fun for me right now, honestly. And it can also be stressful, basically, at the end of the day. And so I want to empower everyone to take care of their bodies.
thank you for that, and I appreciate you just really kind of, like, shedding some light on, like, what your journey looked like and what led you to techno wellness, and so, I also am curious, while you were out, overseas, like, were there folks in your in your circle or, like, because that's very different from, like, some of these places are very different from the US and even just
Mhm.
Maryland at that. So, I'm wondering, like, how'd you tap into your circles there to kind of start listening to your body and, like, also getting some support in that and essentially transitioning back to the US and that and within that journey.
Yeah, I think what is so unique like, it's so weird to say sometimes. I think what's so unique about myself and my journey is when you asked me that question, I literally was isolated. Like, I didn't have many people in my corner. And
Mm,
so I relied on my mom and my best friend for
mm.
communication, even though it's a 12-hour time difference. Those are really the only two people that I relied on at that point. I went and I seeked a lot of information online as far as, like, self-help books. I really love, like, the science and like, the things that we can do with our brains, and so
Yeah,
I
me too.
listened to a lot of Grace Shetty. I
Love
listened
Big
to a
Daddy.
lot of, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Like, I always read his philosophies, and, like, that was really what kept me going. Another thing, so it wasn't really my circle because the people that I worked with, we weren't really close. It wasn't that type of culture.
Mhm.
However, I always loved fitness. And so I was always like in the gym on my gym routines. And they had a spin class on base. So I always make sure I attend spin class. And the instructor was really cool. Like he was another person that has been in the government for a long time. But again, he was able to shed light on just the value you have taking care of your body. So I showed up to class, I did my burnouts and taking care like exercising really made me feel good. So between spin class, my mom and my best friend and meditation, that was all I had.
Yeah, and I think some people forget, like, even your family can like, also be that, like, support for you in your professional life, like, my sister and I, who was also on at the round table here, who we, like, talk about our professions, and we, like, throw out ideas back and forth, so I feel like some folks just forget to tap into, like, family, and they
Mm,
actually have, like, a wealth of knowledge and happy to share
mhm.
that information, and sometimes you have to go out there and pay for some of this, and you have that right in your own like, in your back pocket. It's that those your family can be, like, so it's integral to your professional growth and obviously your personal growth.
Yeah.
Thank you both for that insight, and that was amazing. So, next question I have is, what advice would you give leaders working to stay grounded in their mission while everything around them is shifting or scaling fast?
Hmm. That's I wrote that one down. Let me go back to my journal.
I can go while you look. So I would essentially tell leaders to stay rooted in their values. Keep God first. 3 years ago, I actually changed my CEO from myself to God, and that was the best decision I ever made. I feel like that really shifted my perspective on my
I
business.
love that. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, like, that was so good.
Oh, so true, y'all. Like, I literally and I'm not gonna take all the credit, but I listened to this podcast and she also has her MBA, and so she was saying it one time and it just clicked. I was like, "I think that's what's wrong. I am trying to make all these decisions on my own. I feel alone in this process, and you're not alone. Like, you literally have God
Mhm.
to lean on, as well as the people that He puts in your community, of course. But on paper, it says Natalya Jackson, but spiritually, the CEO is God. And so I feel like when you lead from a space of faith and purpose, even when things are shifting to your point or like growing really quickly or like exponentially, you stay centered no matter what. I think that everything else just will fall into place. You know, your business will evolve, you will evolve as a leader, but you have to stay firm and grounded in your foundation.
Thank you, Natalia. That was
No,
beautiful.
that's it. That's good.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Now, I know I ended up going to a conference called CultureCon in New York last weekend, so I feel like really fired up. And so I'm also an English teacher, so I always look at a lens of like, what is the theme from every message? So when I
Yeah.
listened to every speaker, everything they kept saying was faith, faith, faith. And I'm like, that is so true, y'all. Like, if you just have the faith,
Mhm.
the
Mm,
foundation will never break, it will never crumble.
mm.
Amen. That's it. No, that's so key, honestly, like that, and then your practices, your daily habits. Like, I think also
Mhm.
when it comes to a leader, like, staying in alignment and staying grounded, it's just, like, finding that time to have stillness because when you're fast paced and you're go, 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 like, yes, we have deadlines, yes, we have deliverables, the world's not gonna end, and just, like, your practices, whether that's walking, journaling, breath work, just staying aligned and grounded to that and align with your values too, like you said, Natalia. That's it.
No, that's true. That's the powerful combo because
Yeah.
my daily schedule is honestly very overwhelming sometimes. And so having those implementations of those practices you mentioned, Yana, are like very crucial. Like I don't know that I could even be present in my day to day if I didn't do my practices like prayer. I like to work out a lot. So I'm always going on walks. Me and my dog, we be walking all through DC, just thugging through the streets of DC, walking, walking, walking,
That
thinking,
is
releasing
cute.
all the tension, all the stress. So yeah, you definitely have to have those daily practices as well.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I think some people just don't really recognize, like, those micro habits, like walking the dog or playing with your dog at home
Mhm.
or just stand like, being if you're able to have a standing desk, just standing during the day, like, those are the kinda things that you need to do for yourself so you can show up in your spaces and your forums like the CEO that you are, you know? So, thank you so much for both of those, like, nuggets, those go to nuggets. The last question, which I asked all my guests, is who is a person or yeah, a person or a couple of people, whether they're here or no longer with us in this world, who would you would want to invite to your personal advisory board and why?
Yeah, I can go ahead. Actually, I mentioned him already. Dr. Joe Dispenza, if I can go to one of his summits and just I love how he merges like science and mindset and like the
Yeah.
and like just completely different perspective shift is what we're all capable of. Uh, our brains are the most powerful things, and I think that when we learn to really have that discipline to rewire, you're set, you're good. So I need him on my advisory board.
All right, I
And
hope to hear
then
you.
yeah, and then I really love how, Maya Angelou, she is the most
Yes.
graceful,
Mhm.
like, wise woman, and she stands in her power, and that shows, and, like, she's just someone that I would want on my advisory board as well. So those are my 2 people.
I love Maya Angelou. I just brought her up today because one of my favorite poems is "Till
What?
I Rise." I was talking about, like,
Mm,
the power of repetition in poems, and that's a good poem right there.
yeah, it's so good.
But, as for me, who I would have on my advisory board would be it's a couple people, y'all. It's a couple people. So I would say Michelle Obama because I feel like she just
Yes.
embodies grace, leadership, and also purpose. I don't know if I mentioned as well, but my best friend and I do have a podcast, and so it's centered around sisterhood and purpose. So I try to align
Drop it.
everyone
Drop the podcast. Where
the
the
podcast
podcast
is
at?
Peaches and Cream. Y'all make sure y'all go follow and that too on Instagram. We're just two Texas women who are aligning our purpose and we believe in sisterhood. Like spaces like this, what we're doing right now on your platform, like I live for this because it really
Mm,
just embodies the true power of sisterhood and coming together and sharing our stories, our testimonies, and our knowledge to be able to help uplift the community around us. So I love this, Kiera. Keep doing this.
yes.
Thanks. You keep doing y'all keep doing what y'all doing too.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, definitely Michelle Obama. Also Rihanna. I love
I
Rihanna.
love
She's
her.
so creative. Fenty was the best thing she could have done. She's just essentially a creative powerhouse. And I would love to just tap her brain and ask her a lot of questions about how she started her skincare line. What did that look like? How does she just expand and grow everything that she has when it comes to beauty? And then I would also have my mom. My mom is actually the first entrepreneur that I ever knew. Growing up, this is a little side story, but growing up, whenever you have to fill out the forms at the doctor's office, my mom would make me fill that out when I was young. And it always asks like your parents' name and it says, what is their occupation? And she'd be like, put entrepreneur. And I'm like, girl, I always had a smart mouth. So I was like, what is that? Entrepreneur. How do you even spell that? And she's like, it means I work for myself. And I'm like, okay. So that was my first
Oh, I
introduction
love that.
to an entrepreneur. And it just happened to be my mom. So when it comes to a lot of like wisdom and balancing I mean really anything when it comes to business I always seek her advice so she definitely has to be on my advisory board.
I love these. Like, I think one huge theme was all the people you just shared is that they are genuine. They come into themselves with authenticity and they just tap into and they uplift Black communities. That's the biggest thing, and so
Mhm.
I love that you all share, like, some people that really are integral to our community and knows the importance of, like, really, like, leveraging the power of Black founders, people, anybody, and tapping into their community for their support. Thank you both for being here with me today. This was really wonderful. I would love to have you again. Like every time I have another session, I'm like, that one was the best. Like literally, that was the best session. And so hopefully we can tap into you both again sometime soon. But if you all like this video, and you should check out the others, make sure you like and subscribe. And we'll have the details from Ayanna in the comment section, the description section, as well as Natalia. And I'm so grateful for both of you taking the time in your Thursday evening to be at the round table with us.
Thank
No,
you,
thank
Kiara. This was beautiful. Thank you, Yana. I love it. Thank y'all.
no,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So much fun, and I learned even more about you, Natalia, so this is cool.
Right.
Oh, I'm like, sis, you didn't tell me you was over there in Baghdad by yourself.
Stop.
Yeah, that was like, whoa, okay.
I
I
mean,
know.
but I think sorry, I know we're supposed to be wrapping up, but I really appreciate you sharing that because I think even knowing you outside of this platform and like your business and what you promote, like it really does align with all your practices. Like you literally, y'all, she is who she says she is. Like all the practices she mentions, I've never not known Yana to not fulfill that. So it was beautiful.
Oh,
So thank you
thank
for
you so
sharing.
I'll give both of you your flowers. Y'all doing amazing work, and I look forward to see where you go with Ritzy Beauty Bar and Tech Wellness Society, as well as whatever you're doing over there in the Defense Department, because we need some folks
Thank
like you in
you.
there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a great one.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Bye.